Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Andrea Buckett and today we are cooking a classic. We are going to cook Osso Buco. But we're going to give it a little twist because typically Osso Buco takes a little bit of time to cook. It's a dish that cooks low and slow. Today I'm going to show you how to do it in an electric pressure cooker. Also better known as an Instapot, but there are many different brands on the market, so whatever brand you have, you can use for this recipe. So Osso Buco starts with a piece or a cut of meat that is the shank, comes from the leg of the animal. And that piece of meat can be a little bit tough because of course it's a very hard working muscle. So cooking an Osso Buco where it's cooked low and slow will give you the most delicious and tender end product. You can see how beautiful these are. These are center cut pieces of Osso Buco. Shank, and they're about 1.5 inches thick. And that's what you want to get from your butcher, or if you're lucky enough to find it in your grocer's meat counter, you should pick it up and try this recipe. First off, we are going to preheat our electric pressure cooker to the sear function. And searing this off will develop that gorgeous exterior crust, which translates into flavor down the road when it's done. So let's just press start here and get it onto the sear function, which it is. And here we go. Preheating. So that's preheating right now. And while it's preheating, we are going to prep our meat. Really important when you're searing something is to ensure that the exterior of the protein is really well dry. Now I already patted the other side dry, so I know that it's completely dry, but moisture is sort of the enemy of that caramelization or Maillard reaction that happens when the proteins and sugars heat up and develop that gorgeous exterior crust. So you want to make sure you have a very nice dry piece of meat. Then we're going to season it up really simply with salt and pepper. Of course, I like to season from a little bit of a height because it allows that salt to be distributed evenly over the entire piece of meat. How gorgeous these are. This is going to make the most delicious dish. Of course, a little bit of pepper. And I've already done the other side, so that is perfect. Now we're just going to wait for our pressure cooker to heat up and we're going to sear them off. So our electric pressure cooker is preheated. To that, we're going to add a tablespoon of butter. Ooh, and you can hear it sizzle. We're going to let that melt. And because the pressure cooker on the inside is a little bit smaller, we're going to brown our beef shank in batches. That way it doesn't steam and you get that exterior gorgeous color and crust that we're looking for. So as soon as that butter is melted, I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and start with one of these. Now these are pretty big. These are gorgeous. This recipe, we're only going to be able to do one of these at a time. This recipe calls for 3 pounds of center cut beef shank. And so depending on how large yours are or how thick they are, you might need 3 or 4. So ours are quite large, so we're going with 3 of them. So we're gonna wait and we'll show you how gorgeous that exterior is when it's done. So it's been about a minute and a half, and we're just going to turn this first one over, and you can see already that gorgeous exterior brown crust. That's what we're looking for. So we'll just let that do its thing until all 3 are done. So we have our third one in here, and I just want to show you. Beautiful and brown on the outside. And we're just going to transfer it to the plate with the other 3. And those are going to hang out while we get our other ingredients, our aromatics in the pot. So we're just going to pop this over here. We're going to put a 2nd tablespoon of butter in here and let it melt. And then we're going to go ahead and add 3 cloves of garlic, along with 2 carrot sticks that have been diced, a stalk of celery that's been diced, and 1 cooking onion. And we're going to go ahead and just put this all in here. And we're going to sweat those off just to concentrate those beautiful flavors and natural sugars. Stir and let that go for a couple minutes. The vegetables have started to soften up. We're not really looking for them to take on any color, but that's what they look like. And now we're gonna go in with some more flavors. We are going to go with some tomato paste. Now I love tomato paste because it's nice and rich and has that concentrated tomato flavor. And of course, a little bit of red wine here. We want that red wine to have a chance to cook down and reduce. So we are going to simmer this for another 2 minutes. While that's simmering, I just want to talk about tomato paste a little bit. I love buying tomato paste in these tubes because they're easy to reseal, they're easy to keep in the refrigerator, and oftentimes recipes call for 1, 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And this is a really great way to buy it if you can. If you buy it in a can and you find you have some left over, you can put the remainder in a sealable bag, press it down flat, and then put it in the freezer. So then when you need it, you can just break off a little piece. Sometimes people put extra in ice cube trays that you use for food and then pop those out and you can use those as well. Our wine has reduced now and we are going to add the remainder of our ingredients. So we're going to add some beef broth, any will do, about half a cup there. We're going to add some diced tomatoes. So for this, I like to drain the liquid off the tomatoes because this dish is going to have enough liquid in it as it is. So 1 cup of drained diced tomatoes. Of course, some beautiful herbs. We're going to add some bay leaves, 2 bay leaves, a couple sprigs of thyme, about 4 sprigs of thyme, and 2 nice sprigs of rosemary. You don't have to chop them. You put them in just like that, and those flavors will infuse right into the beef. And speaking of beef, it's time to add that. It's time to add those beef shanks in. We're gonna nestle them in the pot. And yes, they're quite big, but that's okay. They're gonna cook just perfectly in there. Let's just get them in there. One last one. And then, of course, we are going to pour in any juices that have accumulated on that plate because that is loads of flavor. You do not want to leave that flavor behind. Now we're going to seal that up. We're going to close our lid, make sure that's sealed, and we are going to select pressure cooker here. So mine happens to be a multifunctional machine. It does a few things. We're going to go with pressure cooker, and then I want to set it to high. And this takes about 40 minutes to do. So my time I'm going to reduce to 40 minutes. There we go. And then I'm going to press start. And that is it. Everything's going to cook right in that electric pressure cooker. It's a leave it and do something else kind of dish. It's great for a Sunday afternoon, perhaps when you're busy, or you can even do this on a weeknight, which is great because typically Osso Buco is a dish that takes 2.5, 3 hours to prepare. So the electric pressure cooker makes it super easy. 40 minutes, you're going to have a delicious beef shank Osso Buco on the table. So the beef shank has been cooking for 40 minutes in the electric pressure cooker, and then we let it sit for 10 minutes to naturally release the pressure from the pressure cooker. So there's still some pressure buildup, so we're going to release this so we can open the top and get out our delicious, tender beef shanks. Let's open it and take a look inside. Oh my goodness, this is looking amazing. I can't believe, oh, look at that. The bone comes out so easily. So you know that that beef is cooked to perfection. The bone marrow is also inside there. It was cooked, and I like to personally just pop it back in there. It adds a lot of mouthfeel and beautiful flavor to this. Oh, I just want to take one of these pieces out. Oh, look, it's so tender. And that happened in 40 minutes. So of course you have all those veg in there as well. Now I would serve this with, I'm just going to take a few pieces out here to have a look at, because we're having this for dinner. I would serve this with mashed potatoes, would be an excellent thing to serve this with. You could do mashed pumpkin or mashed squash or some polenta, but I just want to show you guys, look at how tender. I mean, honestly, this is fall apart delicious. Beef shank is such an excellent source of protein. It is chocked full of full beefy flavor. It is one of those cuts that don't get used that often, but I'm telling you, you're going to want to try this recipe. It's tender, delicious. All those aromatics come through. Definitely try this. Pressure cooker, also Buco.